88% of these investors said they feel more peace of mind. Vanguard recently put out a research piece in an attempt to quantify the intangible aspects of working with a financial advisor. So the first survey question was, compared to managing my finances on my own, having an advisor gives me a lot less, neither more nor less, more, or a lot more peace of mind. And 88% of the over 12,000 respondents to the July 2024 survey said that working with a human advisor gives them more peace of mind than managing their finances on their own. 88%. I also want to point out the use of the word finances there and not just investments, because I think the overall landscape of the role of the investment advisor, we're certified financial planners here. The role is more evolving from just, investment management. The Vanguard study did find that investment management is the most important aspect of, the financial landscape that people are looking for help with offloading, the investment decision-making, what to buy, when to sell. That is an important piece of the puzzle, but the word finances implies, the whole picture. And that's certainly the approach that we take here. We want to get a look at the whole picture because we believe that, the more comprehensive we can be, everything kind of feeds into each other, and you can't just invest in a vacuum if you don't know anything about your client. As advisors, you need to know what's going on in your clients' lives, what their goals are, the finer details of their lives so that you can invest in a prudent manner on their behalf. So, for us, that's going to be looking at income, expenses, tax withholdings, where you're saving, what type of accounts you're saving into, whether or not you're saving enough for retirement, if that's your goal. We want to look at your balance sheet, your assets and liabilities, and, depending on what your goals are, kind of take things from there. So finance is not just investments. Another stat from the Vanguard study, on average, American workers spend 7.7 hours per week thinking about and dealing with financial issues. So investors that work with advisors in this Vanguard survey, again, 12,000 respondents to the survey, reported spending 3.8 hours per week, with 78% of human-advised clients report time savings of 2.2 hours per week. So just to kind of give an example of this, let's take Tom's recent video on modified adjusted gross income. That's just one of the many technical areas that we help clients dissect and implement in their lives. Do you really want to spend all the time researching and implementing the parameters to determine your IRMAA levels and determine how that's going to affect your Medicare premiums? Probably not. Maybe, you go online and search around and try and find a reputable source. Can you trust it? Maybe not. So that's just, a small example of some of the work that you can offload to an advisor. Also, if I had to venture a guess, I'd say that the time spent doesn't equate a smooth 7.7 hours each week for most Americans. It probably spikes at certain areas, kind of waxes and wanes throughout a lifetime. But some of the areas where it spikes, if people come to us looking for help, during market volatility, a well-timed call to an advisor can stop you from making a drastic overreaction to what the market's doing. And those moves can often be devastating in the long term. Maybe you're thinking about retirement. You want to run the numbers and make sure you can do it, make sure that you can make the jump into retirement, or you want to know what your options are. How many more years should you work? How are you going to replace the tax withholding mechanisms on your W-2 paycheck? That's something that a lot of people don't think about. What about Medicare? How do we get you enrolled in that? What about pre-Medicare health insurance? What about that? A lot of things there with retirement, and that's one of the bigger areas where we help folks with job loss. Probably spending a lot of time thinking about your finances when you're going through a job transition. Unfortunately, when loved ones pass away and you have to figure out how to manage their finances and how, to figure out their estate and to, meet the different requirements for different beneficiaries according to their last wishes. That's probably a time where you're thinking a lot about finances. Unfortunately, maybe you're saving up and you want to pay for the kid college. You can certainly invest a lot of time into figuring out how to do that. So, those are just some examples where we're seeing people come to us and they need help. They're stressed, they're anxious, they're spending a lot of time in this, and they just want someone to offload it to. That's why we're here. So, like I said, the role of a good CFP is to, kind of be the quarterback between different professionals, whether it's an estate planning attorney, tax professional. We can kind of help you, be the translator there while also managing their investments and helping you plan for your future. So, yes, technical expertise is important. Making sure you're keeping up with the market is also, often top of that list. But when people come to us, the number one thing they're looking for is peace of mind that they're on the right track financially, no matter where they're at in their life. So certainly, according to the numbers, again, 88% of advised clients report more peace of mind. Also, if you're working with an advisor, you can save 2.2 hours per week. That's over 100 hours per year. What are you going to do with all that free time? Think about it. Thanks for watching.